Hey guys, welcome to AP Finance. Today, we can learn about the economy in a simple and a precise format. Let's jump right in. So let's define economy. An economy is a system whereby goods and services are produced, distributed, consumed, and exchanged. So simply speaking, we're looking at a system having goods and services. An economy may represent a nation, a region, a single industry, or even a family. So for example, we may be talking about the economy of the US, the economy of a company like Amazon, or even the economical situation at your end. In short, the economic system covers manufacturing to consumption. So let's review this in a graphical format. Factories or manufacturing facilities produce goods or products. Then the goods are transported to stores, which could be by trucks, planes, trains, or shipping containers coming from other countries. And finally, consumers buy goods or products, which could be people like you and me buying from Walmart or shopping malls. So imagine iPhone being manufactured in a factory and sold in a local Apple store. This is an example of how products move in the economy. So let's discuss the role of services in the economy. If you need lawn mowing help, a handyman, painter, plumber, a towing truck, or even an ambulance, we as consumers call them to hire their services. These services can also play a major role in the economy because we pay them money in return for the services performed. The service industry contributes to the economy just like products. So there are various components that interact within the economy. Consumers need products, for example, television, and a company like Samsung will manufacture them to sell them to customers, and in return, they get money. So services are sold the same way to customers. So let's learn and define the three types of economies: market-based economies, command-based economies, and finally mixed economies. So let's start with market-based economies. Market-based economies are also known as free market economies, where supply and demand guide the production of goods and services. So let's say there's a high demand for Apple iPhones, then Apple will work on producing more of them. Supply and demand are the two main forces in market-based economies, which drive manufacturers and service providers to make business decisions. In these economies, consumers have a freedom of choice. So for example, a consumer has an option of buying an iPhone or an Android phone. The producers are also inspired to come up with innovative products. For example, Elon Musk had an innovative idea which eventually transformed into the electric car that we all know as Tesla. Bottom line, there is little to none government control in the free market economy. So Switzerland, Ireland, and New Zealand are the closest to a true free market economy. So let's move on to the second type of economy, command-based economies. So command-based economies rely on the central or federal government to make decisions based on products and services. So instead of the market deciding the supply demand of products and services, the government takes ownership of decisions on product or service supply, pricing, and distribution. Here are some features of the command-based economies. In this type of economy, the government sets the economic policies by creating a central economic plan and controls the products, manufacturing, and pricing. So unlike market-based economies, this type of economy does not encourage innovation. So North Korea, Cuba, and Iran are closest to a true command economy. And these economies in these countries are dependent on central government policy decisions. So let's talk about the last type of economy, the mixed economy. So a mixed economy is where both free market and government regulation exist. It employs capitalism by promoting free market and socialism to some extent, by taking care of the population's needs, such as welfare benefits for the poor, Social Security, Medicare, food stamps, and all that. Let's see some features. So the government will carry regulations to prevent abusive financial systems, healthcare systems, and others while promoting the ease of business and innovation in private sectors. So these three countries are the closest to a true mixed economy, but some economists think that the US has a free market economy. But my research says that it's more of a mixed economy because we still have some government regulations. So as we know, the economy is a social science that encompasses product and service distribution as well as consumption. The economy is divided into two main categories or branches. The first is macroeconomics. Macroeconomics seeks to find a general perspective at a national level, so it looks at the decisions of countries and governments. So basically, macroeconomics looks from a bigger perspective. The second is microeconomics. Microeconomics looks at the economic behaviors of individuals, households, and companies. So microeconomics looks from a narrower perspective. So let me show you the major differences between macroeconomics and microeconomics. So as you can see, macroeconomics looks at GDP, unemployment rate, and inflation rate numbers. These numbers are reviewed on a monthly or quarterly basis as part of macroeconomic analysis of the country's economic performance. The right column on microeconomics pertains to an individual or company level. So, how is Apple doing revenue-wise in the last quarter? What are the top 3 major expenses of the Jones family? And are we exceeding our home budget expenses? These questions are answered as part of microeconomics analysis. So in short, macroeconomics focuses on the national level of economic performance, and microeconomics focuses on local or individual level. So how can we measure and analyze how the economy is performing? So there are a few key economic indicators that help economists at like the Federal Reserve System with policy decisions. So the decisions based on the performance indicators ensure that the macroeconomics of the nation stays healthy. So let's go through the top 3 economic indicators used in macroeconomics. So the first is GDP. GDP stands for Gross Domestic Product, and it's simply the total value of goods and services produced during a year. So simply speaking, if we add all the dollar values of the goods and services produced and sold in the U.S. in a year, the total number would be the GDP. So the U.S. has been the leading country for GDP as it had the highest GDP for years. So in 2021, the U.S.'s GDP was 23 trillion, which made it the largest economy in the world. So the unemployment numbers tell the government's economists on how many people are unemployed and looking for jobs. The unemployment reduces an economy's output and creates debt for affected families. High unemployment rates can also impact consumption of goods and services, and they can both affect the economy in general. So the next key economic indicator is inflation. Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a period of time. So the economy is in trouble when the inflation rate outpaces the income growth. So basically what it does is it reduces the purchasing power of money. So the same items purchased the previous year are now costing much more because of the inflation rate's increase. So in July 2022, the 9.1% inflation rate beat the last 40 years of historical inflation, which impacted the affordability of housing, rent, fuel prices, food prices, airline tickets, and so much more. And there are also a few more indicators such as industrial production, home sales, retail sales, consumer confidence, and construction spending that help government economists with economic decisions. Thank you so much for watching this video from AP Finance. I hope you liked it and learned something new. Please don't forget to subscribe down below and click the notification bell to be notified when we post.